Have you ever wondered how much it costs to launch an e-commerce business? In this video, I'm going to break down the 3 different types of e-commerce businesses you can start and how much it costs to start each one. If you're looking for the cheapest way to start selling on Shopify or any other e-commerce platform, the no-brainer option is dropshipping. The startup costs for this business model are incredibly low, and you can launch an entire dropshipping e-commerce brand for technically as low as like $20 to $50. Now, realistically, it's going to cost you a few $100 to $1,000 to get started with dropshipping, but there are a few cons with dropshipping that I will explain. Dropshippers send products from third-party manufacturers directly to their customers. This means that in most cases, they never see the product itself, as it's sent straight from a factory or a warehouse, usually somewhere in China, to their customer. This means that a dropshipper never has to pay for product development or inventory itself, as they pay once they receive the order from the customer. However, the low startup costs don't automatically make this a great business model. And that's because you're not involved in the product development or shipping of the product. You lose control over some of the most important aspects of your e-commerce business. And because you never see the product, you can't really control product quality or order fulfillment. While dropshipping is an incredibly popular way to get into the e-commerce game, there's a reason that most people move out of it once they start getting some experience, or they at least go from dropshipping to brand building. If you're interested in trying out dropshipping or any e-commerce in general, there is a ton of information available online. You can look at my channel, you can look at channels like Tuza. One other potential con to consider is with the dropshipping fulfillment method, you typically have incredibly long shipping times, which leads to unhappy customers, and in lots of dropshippers' cases, refunds and chargebacks, which cause them to start getting banned or have issues with cards and payments down the line. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, the other extreme is to create and manufacture your own product. This is much more capital intensive and not something I recommend to anybody that is a beginner in the space. This requires at least $5,000 to $10,000 to get started, and the costs can quickly grow from there with product revisions, product or quality issues, or manufacturer or supplier issues, factory issues, shipping issues, and you can also run into having to order large amounts of inventory just to get your first batch. I have a lot of clients and friends that have spent over $100,000 just manufacturing and creating a product in order to launch it, so it can get quite expensive. While this is more capital intensive and a lot harder to actually start and launch, you have a lot more flexibility when you control the manufacturing of your product. There is a much higher potential to build a legitimate brand doing this. If you ever dream of selling your e-commerce brand or company, then manufacturing your own product is going to get you a higher multiple and allow you to scale a lot larger, typically. Because this model is so capital intensive, lots of people turn to borrowing money or getting outside investment in order to fund their launch. I highly advise against this unless you have prior high-level business experience. Maybe you've built and exited a startup or grown your own small business before. Even with tons of capital, most people don't know how to deploy it effectively, which means that they spend it ineffectively within a few months on just BS marketing strategies, or they waste it on something like building a very expensive website or spending too much money on product and inventory when they don't have the actual customer base in the first place. In conclusion, get experience first before you start raising outside money. The last method of building and developing a product to sell within an e-commerce business is white labeling. This falls somewhere in the middle of drop shipping and creating your own product. This happens when you find a product that is selling successfully. It doesn't have to necessarily be drop shipping, it could be a big brand selling it, and you contact the manufacturer or supplier directly. Your goal is to talk to the manufacturer and establish a relationship with them. You then create a small twist of the product or slap your brand name on it, and you're ready to sell something. This is cheaper than creating your own product because you're taking something that already exists and putting your name or brand or twist on it, but it's a little more expensive than drop shipping, as you typically are ordering inventory, although not necessarily, but you will likely be paying more for the product itself. The exact costs for a white label solution depend on the product that you're sourcing and the amount of changes that you are making to it. You see this business model a lot in the supplement and beauty industry, where a small change to ingredients is heavily marketed and sold as its own brand or product or SKU. This gives you a greater degree of control of your product while not having to pay all of the expenses that it takes to create your own product from scratch. It's a middle ground that some people enjoy. Now, expect white labeling to cost you somewhere between $2,000 to $5,000. Again, prices will range and costs will range depending on the product that you're actually white labeling and the amount of changes that you are making to it. All of these costs that I've laid out, that's assuming that you are not hiring agencies to build your websites and build your ads, and instead you are doing them yourself. It's impossible to recommend a business model that best fits you as an individual. Instead, the best thing that you can do is research all of the different business models and find which one you think fits yourself individually. Everybody has their own unique set of skills and everybody thrives in completely different situations, so it's up to you to decide which scenario or situation you think you would best thrive and develop. If you're looking for more information on how to run a successful e-commerce business, feel free to check out the other videos on my website, and feel free to check out Flax Labs. We're an e-commerce scaling agency and we help e-commerce brands grow from 7 to 8 to 9 figures per year.